We are live with some Blue Otter Diamond League action here late in week 6. Out of our Demacia division, our matchup for you tonight will be TTM Umbriel and SYN VOD review. I'm Isaac. Alongside me for this cast is Rue. Obviously been doing things together for quite a bit. It's been an honor step in tonight, and for these two teams, Rue, both of them basically a must-win situation if they have playoff aspirations.
Yeah, it is pretty much do or die time, and unfortunately for SYN, they don't have the best do or die roster for themselves. So they have got to bring in a sub today, and they've also had to bring in an emergency sub at very short notice. That's why you notice the 2 missed bans in the first rotation. Beyond that, Volibear is the one thing they could choose to get rid of, and they have done precisely that. And then focus on actually on top side here from Umbriel, which is surprising, getting rid of the Ornn and the Scion for finally deleting Zera. Then we get a couple of junglers picked here. E1 and R1, and then this leaves the rest of the draft very open. Yanara though on 2 is very interesting.
Just one that 3 plays a lot of on the side of To The Moon. I think this is most played champion with a pretty positive win rate this season. So and with how desperate this sort of series is going to be, picking up that comfort 4-3 for this player who plays a ton of these hyper carries, who will probably focus a lot of our attention on going into certainly the choice that they've gone for. But that does leave the Jinx open and the Lulu takeaway, the ever iconic support that often goes with Yanara.
Yeah, really nice steal away there, performed by SYN VOD review. Also a steal away in some regards of that hyper carry, right? You're pointing out before 3 does like his hyper carries. Obviously Yanara is at the top of that list, but Jinx is not far down. I don't think we're going to include the Janna from his champ pool in today's games, but you never do know. Instead,
come on.
you're going to be pairing up with the Thresh alongside, so a different hyper carry enabler, but a little bit more focused on deleting that Lulu where it's possible as well. Sparty Party does like those hook champions. Also a big fan of the Brawn by the looks of things. A couple of poke things in there, but the hooks, just the most fun when you're playing support. And as such,
Yeah.
Thresh alongside the Yanara going to be a reasonable concession to make after the Lulu's taken away.
Yeah, Thresh. This champ can do basically everything. Obviously, the hook is incredible as a tool and always the most fun to watch. But maybe the Lantern and the Flay as well, considering that Xin Xiao currently the only champion who can go in on the side of SYN VOD review. It's very telegraphed, can easily be canceled out when you're trying to go onto the Yanara. So plenty of options available for Sparty Party to enable 3 to hopefully do hyper carry things, because you're given your covered champion like this in a game 1. It's definitely one that you want to be making an impact on, a statement, signed, sealed, delivered on that front. But more top side focus from TTM Umbriel, wanting to take out Espada's champion pool and taking it very low. Really the only thing available for them that they play, I would imagine, that I've seen is the Renekton. It's technically Malphite, but that might be a little bit premature, as Cassiopeia going to select a blind from TTM.
Yeah, you don't want to be taking Malphite on blue side unless you've already seen their top laner, and even then it's dangerous in case they flex around the place. Could potentially go down a champ a little bit further. He wants to take something like a Rumble. The Gnar is also there. Has played some Xin Zhao himself, so potential for that to be flexed around as well, because Xin Zhao top, it has its time and place. Maybe it's not going to happen here, but very well could. But blind pick doesn't feel great. Instead, going to go a big departure from what we were saying there, back into kind of the tier 1 meta build. Instead of worrying about the Renekton and the Gnars, going to take the early counter pick to those types of champions. The Yorick taking hit on 4, but with it being a counter pick, it also is quite counterable. Let's see if Umbriel able to do that with something up their sleeve on R5, as we're also waiting mid here for SYN. Assuming it's into Cassiopeia, nothing really stands out as being all too fun. You can match Anivia into Cassio, it doesn't feel awful. You can just try and kill her, but that's a very dangerous way of playing. LeBlanc into someone who literally has a button that says no dashes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Admittedly, it is a very long cooldown, especially early on, but the miasma definitely going to be a point of concern on the side of SYN VOD review, as Yone going to be locked in for TTM Tethys. Not TTM Tethys, a different TTM team. TTM Umbriel. We've had plenty of TTM teams over the years, but yeah, no, Yone when he's moving to the top lane into the Yorick, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst matchup for the Yorick because sustain you can exist for quite a while, but later on in the side lane you really are going to struggle. And for the early game where Yone does typically struggle, you can farm Q stacks off the ghouls very easily to then get that Q3, and therefore the ghoulie wall not as much of an issue as well. As long as you have Q3 charged up, you can even charge Q off the wall if you're in that much of a pinch. Though I mean, altering it twice is probably a safer way to escape it. If you need just one Q and then wait a sec, dash out, absolutely go nuts. Not the most orthodox of counters. You're talking about Europe being a counterable champion. Yone is not the first one that pops to mind, but I mean clearly Peter Griefer has something on his mind. He wants to lay down the gauntlet here for game one.
Yeah, and also a decent amount of scaling on the side of TTM Umbriel as well, obviously with the Yone, but Cassiopeia and the Unara, Wukong, maybe not the strongest scaler, but definitely gated by hitting that level 6 point on the side of SYN VOD review. Definitely a lot of early power. I mean, with the exception of the bot lane, they were going to be looking for the side of SYN VOD review to be able to ramp up the pace of this game early on, Ro.
Yeah, I think they almost need to in some regards, right? Especially through their mid lane. I feel like if LeBlanc gets behind a Toolsys Cassiopeia, then it's going to be a very long game one for SYN VOD review. And they know what they're up against, right? They know they're up against a hyperscaling ADC, and they know they're up against some very annoying side lanes come late game. And they also know their position in the league, right? We've talked about this before, but this is not technically losing you out, but effectively losing you out, right? You are hoping for a lot if you lose today to somehow claw your way back into top 4 standings and sneak your way into the playoffs. If we're already looking at must-win territory, are we talking like a 30-minute, maybe 35? You still have Jinx, so we're not. I'd never really want to write off SYN VOD review at any point in this game, but it does almost feel like you are on a little bit of a timer with what's going on the other side, and you only have so many resources you can allocate, right? If you're trying to play everything around these team fights, then good luck to you. You got Wukong who's going to come flying at you from an odd angle. Cassiopeia is going to stun you up. Yone is going to just destroy you, and then the Yanara, I mean, she's going to be there. She might not even be needed, right? That's the kind of level of team fight Umbriel are bringing. And at which point okay, right, let's look at the side lanes, and it's not even it's not even a prettier picture over there. SYN are going to have a real tough time in this one. Umbriel got a lovely little draft themselves, but now it's going to come down to more so execution than little theory crafting we had going on.
Yeah, excuse me. So obviously, we will get to that after the short break. The spectator delay will come through, but it should be relatively quickly. TTM Umbriel versus SYN VOD review, game one on the other side of this short break. Don't go anywhere. we've loaded onto the Rift for game 1 for this all-important matchup here in the Blue Otter Diamond League Demacia group between TTM Umbriel and SYN VOD Review. And before we get to that, Panay going to be swatted out immediately. Yengu not quite going to get another auto attack out, but still putting the jungler of TTM on their back foot, at least early on.
Yeah, not really where he'd want to be put, but he'll be fine overall, I'm sure. Just spotted out on his Raptors. Unable to get the retaliation ward, which is interesting. You see teams typically fight a lot more to get vision of where the junglers are in the early game, but not bothering all too much with it this time around, as Prim and Chaotic are just taking some crazy trades. Of course, Ignite on a Blanc means that it will be somewhat Prim favored, but the fact that it isn't really Prim favored really does say a lot about Cassiopeia. When you land those Qs, it does a ton, as we're going to miss a death tent as well there as Party. It means that the Lulu Jinx can have the best of things down in bot. Back up in top lane, kind of as you'd expect. The Yone starting to mean as he continues up against the Sparta's Yorick, which is going to have quite a tough time into this matchup. But overall, just some default lane phases and potential kill threat on mid when Chaotic gets a little bit low because of that Ignite Prim's brought to the lane. There's another death that's going to go just wide.
Yes, Party looking very aggressive here, but now without any cooldowns, a heal is going to be used, but the auto attacks from Evil Mouse Stixie do plenty of damage onto what we will assume to be 3 on the Yunara. Remember, if you're...
He's got stream mode, he's called Yunara.
He's got stream mode, yeah. You know what? Yeah, is that the deal we're making up every single time a player has stream mode on? We just refuse to call them by
that's
name?
the deal I make with Satan.
Okay. All right. Got it. Well, either way, both heal and berry used by Party and the Yunara for TTM. Death is going to be down a summoner spell in the bottom lane. Admittedly, all flash is still available.
Where is my LeBlanc? Hold on. Why is the LeBlanc on the Gromp?
Because Yengu's falling around and they might actually try to collapse onto Chaotic. Prim is quite far away. Chaotic going to flash before they even take the chance of getting spotted out by Prim as well. So we'll eventually have to recall and come back to lane with the teleport.
Yeah, I'm going to try and stick around as long as possible, but up against Ignite of Long, it makes it very, very dangerous, especially when that electrocute is ready as well. Just some very aggressive mid laning, trying to help out his jungle as much as possible. Yengu going to get the bot crab off the back of this, but I don't think Pine is going to care at all because he's still managed to get both of his bot side camps. He can take space, go up to the top grab as his hook just wide once more. Not on there, a little bit closer than the previous, but that's a big bunch of utility you already used, right? We used the hook, and we use the Slurple now. It's going to force the Thresh Yunara back quite a bit in this lane, while the Jinx and the Lulu have both the trading advantage and the cooldown advantage.
Yeah, and the thing with really any sort of hook champion before it gets that Chaotic in trouble, though. The Ignite comes through, but the tower's shots come down. First blood goes the way of Prim, not without it being traded back, though.
Yeah, Miasma diff. I mean, could have been cleaner. I think you pick and choose a little more if you're Prim, but getting both of you accelerated isn't necessarily a bad thing here in the situation. Being accelerated on the Blanc in exchange for the Cassio getting a kill, it's okay. Slightly annoying Chaotic has TP advantage over you, but that's what you kind of accept when you bring the Ignite to the lane. You'll still be able to get back to the wave in time though, so you're not going to lose all too much, and you still have that flat advantage. That's the big part of this overall exchange, right? Is that Chaotic still has about 3 minutes left on that flash. If you want to take an early Drake fight, force them out, absolutely go nuts. If you want to just play aggressive on mid because she has no flash, very mobile, especially pre-6, if you can get your jungler over there. You still look at plenty of other angles here. That is not the end of the mid action, I don't think.
Prim going to press forward even more.
That was Miasma.
Going to be targeted by the Miasma very closely, but when you get hit by the poison from Cassiopeia, a few of those E's coming back definitely evens up in terms of health, but our eyes, of course, will, as you mentioned, going to be looking at Yengu and Pine, whether they come back to be able to try to influence this lane a bit more. Pine on the bottom half of the map is a bit closer to that level 6 mark on the Wukong, which is the all-important one. Before it gets that, Prim in trouble will snare up Chaotic, but considering how things are going, how low that health bar is, it's not feeling so great there in the mid lane for SYN VOD Review.
No, I mean, he's still getting the push as the LeBlanc, which is what you should be doing. You should be able to get the push, but it's coming at a very hefty cost. He's trading very aggressively, but they're not going perfectly for him. And I mean, he has got the push, but look at the CS difference, right? Just because you have the push does not mean you're last hitting every single minion. In this case, it means that you're missing about half of them right now. Prim not doing a good job of actually getting those last hits, getting the gold into his bank account. We're going to see Chaotic take his base hit, another Ruby Crystal for him compared to those brown bags of shame for Prim. Small little advantages that you can build up in the early game. That's not the hold on.
That sentence lands. Brecky's going to shield himself up, try a little, survive a
Ooh,
little bit
not a good
longer.
lantern.
Yangu's waiting in the wings. Panay as well. Mentioned not exactly the best lantern ever from Sparty Party. Both heal and they're going to be used by Sparty Party and the Yunara to trade up in terms of summer spells on the side of SYN Vaudeville.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same position they were in before. They weren't able to capitalize off it previously when they got both the heal and the barrier out. This time, might be able to make something happen. If you can hit level 6 before your opponents, definitely have some threat. But it's difficult to really force that through. I think your biggest threat actually comes from the item disparity that we're seeing in bot. That BF sword up against a recurve bow, going to feel a whole lot better for Evil as he looks to try and pressure on these timers. Nice W going to connect well.
Flash forward from Sparty Party. The hook lands. Hold on. The BF sword doesn't matter. Breaky Hill will actually survive, and apparently it does.
BF sword mattered.
I spoke prematurely. You know, I figured with how low the health bar was of Brecky Hill, that surely they would have gone down, but Evil Mouse Dixie left completely untouched. Goes 1-for-0 in the 2v2.
And he keeps both of his summoners and forces out the flash of the Yanara as well, away from another Jinx W that was going to land and potentially even get that kill with the reset that already come in. You forced into the retreat play. Perhaps then potential wave. If he threw the Mega Death Rocket and got the double kill, it might have been lane ending. Honestly, the fact that Yanara survives means there's something to play around still, but I mean, just look at the item disparity in bot. It hasn't gotten any better now. The kills there. Naturally, it has gotten worse, right? We're now up against a Teemo Slingshot and another Longsword. And meanwhile, on that base of the Yanara, it's 2 Longswords. It's not enough at this phase of the game. Even if you are building swords, something more like the Kraken Slayer, it doesn't feel great. As this also doesn't feel great for Winter. It does have to Fate Seal back out to safety.
Yeah, especially when you have Panay arriving at level 6, going to flash as well as Spada, doing a lot to prevent this gank coming through, but he might have been able to find the kill. Panay does quite a bit of damage and enough to shred through all of the health bar of Espada.
Yeah, he threw the Maiden under turret and didn't bring her back out to safety. I don't know if it would have saved him. Nice gank timer found there by Panay. Cleared his top camps. Just not respected there by Espada. When the jungler has been going top to bot the whole game, you feel a little bit safer in the top lane, but all it takes is one small little change up from the Wukong, and suddenly you're caught right out off guard. And yeah, it's just not expected there by Espada, who's going to lose out massively as a result. Not just losing the maiden cooldown, losing like a wave and a half almost in top. Now down 2 waves worth of CS. And you got the flash and the ultimate out of Winter, so you're going to be safe for a little bit. But all it takes is Wukong turning up once more, and suddenly this Yorick can be feeling a whole world of pain.
Ooh. Hook going slightly short from Sparty Party, but yeah, Winter definitely being feeling quite good up there in the top lane, especially with the teleport coming back up soon. Could be potentially impactful with the next Drake spawning in 2.5 minutes can arrive here. But before then, we've got a gank coming to the bot side. Teleport getting dropped by Chaotic. Prim is already here, so it is even numbers as soon as teleport comes through. Chaotic now in the fight, and so the rest of SYN just back away.
Yeah, I think you have to call that one there off. It's a very risky dive before that even comes through. The Wukong's making his way down to the bot side of the map. As soon as that Cassio TP comes through, it is very dangerous. Sparty is still there. Oh, he missed it.
Yeah, and so Prim going to drop the Ignite. Super Mega Death Rocket not quite going to hit the mark. No. Prim flashes forward to secure the kill, but under tower takes 2 shots. Yunara going to find the slow as she transcends oneself, but doesn't nearly have enough damage with only 2 longswords in the inventory.
Yeah, he come back to it. It's the item difference that's really hurting this Yunara right now, and Evil's not going to let it go easily.
Yeah, Evil Mouse Stixay going to drop down a decent amount of damage in return after that dash forward, evening up the health bars there in the bottom lane, but with the item advantages that Evil Mouse Stixley has, that's going to be feeling quite good. Recalling now, potentially, or going to assume probably going to be sitting on a completed item on that recall. Okay, they canceled it.
Should have the intel, but
yeah.
One more wave isn't going to hurt, especially when it's not a cannon wave that you're basing on. Just you take your time, play things properly. No reason to mess about. If you can stick to those principles, basing on the cannon waves when you're in bot lane, it does feel a little bit better. And especially when you already have that first item spike. Nearly had the boots as well, which really says how well this lane's going for the Jinx. And something we talked about before, right? It feels like Syndicate could be on a little bit of a timer in this game. But I feel like they may have already bought themselves a little bit of breathing space. When the Jinx is the one that's accelerated, it definitely feels a whole lot better. Prim, not in the best of spots, but still kind of ahead of the curve. Even though he has been missing out on a fair bit of CS, he's still there or thereabouts, about to get that one item spike. Jungler's always going to be roughly there. It's just slightly unfortunate the Sanders guys come in a little bit after a Triforce, but that'll be fine. Top lane was always going to be an issue. Into the Yone, Yorick does not have a fun time at all. So you have to find your opportunities elsewhere on the map, and if the opportunity is through bot on the Jinx, then that's absolutely amazing. You just need to find more ways to play around there instead of these attempted dives that you had to call off. I want to see them try and find even more aggression now as the game moves on to this kind of second Drake fight.
Speaking of aggression, Prim moving into the Banana Brush. Pity aggressively will find out Panay and will take about a third of their health bar down. As a result, Yangu clearing out this control ward may have gone a bit too far forward. Will find the knockup on Spinay. Will ult away few of the members of TTM, but they collapse down onto Yangu. The wild growth keeps Yangu alive a little bit longer. So Mega Death Rocket chunks out Panay and Yunara quite a bit. Good step back on the petrifying gaze from the members of SYN as well. Will have the Cassiopeia ult be used basically for nothing. That is basically every single ult for the side of TTM utilized in that bottom half of the map fight around the jungle, around the Drake, which does open up the opportunity for SYN to start stacking up the Drakes. Yeah,
though it didn't work quite as well as it could have. I think if that's just a straight up 4v4, we saw it looked in a 3v4, right? if Prim's also there, it's a much better fight. Unfortunately, taking that engage, stepping forward when your mid lane has gone back to catch the wave, means that you're a little bit off tempo from the rest of your team, means you're not quite cohesive in the fight, and what could have been a very promising fight ends up just being something you have to escape with. But you escaped, and then as a result of getting a couple of chunks there, courtesy of Evil, you are able to end up getting that Drake, the second Drake of the game. Not the most impactful being a Chemtech, but it sets you a whole lot closer to that Mountain Soul, which is going to matter a whole lot more, especially with the pressure that it will provide. It's going to force some pretty big fights from To The Moon, and if they're not ready for them, then I feel like Syndicate will definitely take advantage of that in approximately 10 minutes time.
Thinking about getting ready for it, Chaotic is scaling up, has completed the Rod of Ages, already 2 stacks on it. The Tier almost nearly fully stacked as well. Will be on his way to doing a ton of damage on that Cassiopeia. It does take a little bit to be able to hit that late game Cassiopeia sorts of moments, but being able to be 20 CS up on a LeBlanc feels pretty good, especially as things go on more and more. Prim would go in, will be late on the Miasma though, so little signs of potential ways of outplay from Prim, and will be obviously spiking a lot sooner, despite the what the CS would show with the Luden's Echo. Chaotic going to be chunked out even more, and kind of displaying it right there.
Yeah, that should have been a bigger chunk out though. Just slightly misreading the timing. Had the ward from the Banana Brush as we go back on the
going to try to find the gank onto Evil Mouse Stixley. Wild growth will do its best to save the ADC as long as possible, but it's not nearly long enough for Yango to arrive. He goes in, tries to find Yunara, gets it down to half HP. Brecky Hill will do his best to heal and shield up the Xin Xiao, but Yangu will go down in the process. Tries to salvage a losing play, but ends up just making it worse.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to kind of accept that.
May have just done the same here. Petrifying Gaze hits the mark, and Panay will claim the kill. Even more, one by one they come, one by one they fall on the side of SYN VOD review, and well, they'll need a... Okay, well, Evil Mouse Stixley from downtown is able to at least trade one back. but the point still stands. SYN Vodreview will definitely want to take a look at that one after this game.
Yeah, well, they may want to go back to the VOD view, but they'll also get to see that beautiful Jinx rocket in the return play that at least somewhat makes it okay for SYN, though relying on those more chance plays doesn't necessarily feel great. When Evil's going to hit them, obviously it will feel pretty damn good for the Jinx. It's just a shame that it came off the back of such a rough play there. Getting caught out on the bot side by the Wukong. Great gank there, found by Panay. Just able to gank a lot faster when you're playing Wukong with a Thresh alongside. You can get brought into the fight, and then you can really create it. Warrior Trickster, and then that dash to even close the distance even further. Especially Jinx with no flash had no chance of escaping that one. But the rest of it is inexcusable from Syndicate. As we go back up to top side, Winter is looking to bully Espada.
Yeah, Fate Seal doesn't quite hit the mark, but it really won't matter. Gets a flash out of Espada. I mean, maybe it would have potentially killed if it landed, but still, Winter doing exactly what TTM would have hoped for in this top lane, and it will only get worse as time goes on.
Yeah, likely. It could be okay if they're able to keep the LeBlanc.
Lands, Party. Going to continue down. Flash forward, drops the box. We'll get the flash response out of Brecky Hill. So a trade of flashes from the supports.
Some solid supportal combat there. I do wonder what happens if we keep the LeBlanc into the Yone here as SYN, because it looks a whole lot nicer. As you see, a beautiful trade. It feels like if you're able to keep that as your matchup, you're probably doing a lot better than what we saw as the Yorick. It's just not fun at all for this Yorick. Though it looks like Winter's going to be taking a base, headed out down towards bot lane, as the lane assignments are matched once more by To The Moon.
Say that.
At this point, I'd love to see Syndicate then switch the lanes back. It's a very risky play. It's like which way round are we going to go? The Yona's actually walking out top, so maybe you want to keep on going as the Yorick until you see him. It is very dangerous. The Yone was meant to walk out bot there, he doesn't. He ends up going top lane, but I feel like they're going to match them back anyway now, and that's then the misery you're putting Espada back into, especially without flash. He is not allowed anywhere near this wave, not even at Triforce yet either. This Yorick doesn't exist.
Going to land a hook down onto Yangu. Yunara is a bit isolated though, so Evil Mouse Stixay gets excited. Death Sentence going to miss the Jinx. Two quick kills go the way of Syndicate, and Winter teleports to the middle of everybody. We'll have to use the Fate Seal, but the flash to stop the escape onto Winter. We'll have to snap back into the hands of Evil Mouse Stixay. And so, Syndicate, I mean, they just gift wrapped it a few kills on a golden platter from the side of TTM.
Yeah, a great catch found there, and they can even look for some more, but Prim may have given up a bit much, as it actually just will be a 1-for-1 with the Ignite ticking down on the Wukong after the Blanc's death. I mean, overall for Syndicate, that is a huge play still, right? You effectively go 4-for-1 instead of a 3-for-0, but it is still +3 on the kills. Even out the gold from what it was. Drake has now spawned. Yengu's already made his way down there. There's no jungler on the Rift now because Prim got that kill on top side. It means that you should be able to get this pretty safely, even though it looks like the bot lane of TTM want to try and contest. They're a bit late.
Smite comes through. As you mentioned, the bot lane of TTM has arrived. The Slurkle will find its way onto Yangu. The Death Sentence will hit as well, down to half HP. Brecky Hill is nearby. The speed up, the shield, not going to be enough to save Yangu. Yunara going forward, will transcend one step, will be trapped by the Yorick cage. But it won't quite be enough to lock down Yunara long enough to find anything for Syndicate.
And I think Syndicate are going to be happy enough with that. They'll trade their jungler for the dragon, when especially there's nothing else on the top side of the map as well. There was that turret that's just gone over to Winter, not quite matched in time by Prim, but that is to be expected after that very elongated death timer. Just you have to accept that one in return. So the gold is somewhat back into TTM's favor, but now it's 3 Drakes to 0, and that feels much more important than a couple of 100 gold lead. Syndicate have all the pressure they could possibly want now as a result of this. They need to be able to transition their mid pressure that they have in bucket loads up into these side lanes. The tier 1 still standing in top needs to go. It needs to go pretty damn soon to be able to get some of that standing gold off the Rift into your pockets, especially because you've already broken up to the tier 2 turret. You should be able to get deep enough vision to secure that type of an objective. That's what you're looking for before this next Drake spawns. If you can't get it in the next 3 minutes, then so be it. but you should be able to go a little bit more aggressively looking for that type of side lane objective.
Which will obviously help Alex, as you mentioned, get things pushed out even more for next straight. It is still a point before he gets that. Destinson slams his way onto Brecky Hill, will use the wild growth on themselves. The box comes through as Yangu arrives to try to find the knockup. Won't matter. Evil Mouse 60 has enough damage to the attacks. Gets excited. Panay will trade one back. Flash forward from Evil Mouse 60. Hit by the Fate sealed, but not without trading heal onto Nara. Shutdown goes the way of Chaotic. Snap back for Winter. Gets him into range of Espada. Hits the Q3, and Espada's result is not long for this world. To the moon have sent it exactly to that point. Prim's going to push even further. Winter's going to eventually have to snap back, in which Prim's going to try to find the kill, but will have to flash away from Panay, who's dropping a few auto attacks to bonk on the head. Will secure the kill, sends to the moon up 1k gold, and with Baron up and available, Yangu and Brecky the only two alive on the side of SYN. Do they look for it, Rue?
I don't think you can, especially because it is the Xin Zhao. It's very early to go for a Baron. I mean, maybe with the Yanara walking out toward not bot lane, there was a chance, but the Xin Zhao's still there. Jinx has Mega Death Rocket. You get low, suddenly that thing just does way too much damage. It could probably even snipe the Baron away from you if you're not careful. It's just not worth it, right? You now have put yourself in a position where you have the gold lead back in your control, up 2.5k after taking a fight that favored you quite a lot, that I'm surprised Syndicate were happy to match into. The Xin Zhao was nowhere to be seen, clearing camps. Prim wasn't there, Espada wasn't there. It's just a bot 2v2 that's kind of boiled over both sides. They get the early kills there, do Syndicate, but it comes at such a heavy cost. Now Evil has no flash for the next fight, whether it is around this Baron or in the Soul in 90 seconds. Does have 3 items, so that extra kill may come through in that sense instead, but if you then don't have the flash for the big fight, can you really say it was worth it? Because I feel like you could have got the 300 gold just from clearing a couple of waves and then taking a base, as we've just seen. It's just got 600 extra spent on that base. I feel like we didn't need to go quite as aggressive around a fight that didn't need to spiral the way it did. You were going to get to 3 items for this Soul anyway, because you're that far ahead on the Jinx. It's a very ADC thing to do, to see an opportunity to get a kill on the enemy ADC and just go for it. But I feel like a little bit of discipline there would have gone a long way for Syndicate, as they now find themselves down in a very awkward position, kind of thinking of not even taking this fight now around their own Mountain Soul.
It is spawning in 35 seconds. There's a lot being sent towards the spawn side. That's Party going to be hit, taking down the half HP. Yangu, though, going to try to escape as quickly as possible. May have gone too far in, flashing over the wall. Follow up from Panay, finds the kill. Fate sealed from Winter will be the one to try to get the kill. Brecky Hill now the target of the side of TTM. He'll just back off. Yunar transiting oneself, finds Evil Mouse Stixie. The Flame Chompers will keep him alive for a little bit longer. But without Yangu, in 10 seconds, the Drake spawning unless Prim can find a kill now onto the Unara, will be hit by the Miasma to eventually snap back the second they walk out of it. They have taken the ADC of TTM very low, but with the Honey Fruit there, going to heal right back up. Heal right, no smite available for SYN, means that the Soul has been delayed for at least another 5 minutes. Prim as well.
Prim's technically delayed it a little bit longer.
Prim, yeah.
They still got the Drake, though. He's just also died. He brought the jungler out of the pit, which was cool, but he came at the cost of his life, which is much less cool. I feel like there's a lot of focus right now from Syndicate on killing this Yanara. And I get where it's coming from. Late game scaling ADC, being somewhat untouched in fights, is scary, but you kind of have to put that into perspective. You are focusing so many resources on getting this Yanara gone that other things are dominating the fights, where the Yanara can't quite at this phase of the game. Later on, you're going to have to. But right now, you could have let this Yanara fly under the radar a little bit because she wasn't pumping out the damage that your Jinx was. Malastixi has been trading effectively at 1-for-1 with this Yanara the whole way through, when they could have been going for maybe like Cassio Wukong instead. And if you get that as like a 2-for-1, that feels like that's a lot more worth it in these kind of early to mid-game fights. Later on, you might have to look towards a 1-for-1 and say that's the best that we can do. But in the early game, it feels like you could have got a little bit more here as the fed Jinx into a much less fed Yunara. And now that's kind of balancing out a little bit to the point where you're looking at these type of situations where you're like, well, maybe 1-for-1 is the best that I can get.
Speaking of
Brecky.
we got Brecky going way too far forward, going to flash away and use the wild growth on himself. Have they bought enough time? No, they have not to die, but they will.
This is
have
big for
Evil Mouse Stixe
Jinx.
getting excited. Drops a few auto attacks, gets the kill on Sparta Party
nice.
and Yunar. Zap not quite going to hit the mark onto Panay. So a trade 2 for 2 for now. Winter not quite going to hit Evil Mouse Stixe on the flash wave, so the flash follow will find Prim instead. Winter wants to get that kill, but Mouse Stixe still relatively untouched. As of course, as soon as I say that, hit by the miasma, Chaotic goes forward, finds the kill onto the Jinx, and is spotted. The only one left alive for SYN. Has gone absolutely terribly for the side of the VOD review. Baron up and available. That will be the side of TTM. Umbriel hitting their late game scaling that we expected and looking to start to hammer the nails into the coffin of game 1 for SYN.
Yeah, and this is what we talked about during draft, right? So the Moon just have so many different options. They don't have to play through this Yunara. It feels like Syndicate are only aware of the Yunara as a win con, but you still have a level 16 Yasuo, Yone, and a level 16 Cassiopeia. You said Yasuo earlier and it got me. It was off there, but it still got in my head.
Hey, that was...
it is living in my head.
Yeah.
But like, with the Wukong, this game has done precisely what he needed to. Panay has enabled his solo laners very, very well. He has been the bridge to bring them to this phase of the game. It hasn't been the cleanest, especially in terms of objectives. Losing out on the first 3 Drakes doesn't feel great, but now you've set yourself up to contest every single one from here on in and have the upper hand in those exchanges as well. As we see Prim not having the upper hand. 3 Hextech Alternator Ices means that he is very squishy, very bursty too, but we're not able to see much of the burst when he is constantly on the back foot as he is right now, and it's just yet more suffering for SYN to be dealing with, and he may be suffering a bit more.
Speaking of Prim, the Fate Sealed won't quite hit the mark. Not sure how much it will really matter. Eventual snap back from from Winter does come through, but I mean, yeah, you gotta try it, right? Like, sneaky recall in the bush almost worked out. Before we get to that, speaking of Yangu getting hooked by Sparty Party,
why are we here?
Not quite sure.
Oh
and
my
actually,
God.
Yunar does go forward, finds Sloan's Evil Mouse Stixe, a double kill for Yunar, trying to find a way onto Brecky Hill, dashes forward once again, slow, ensures the triple goes the way of the Yunara, on top of what TTM had already found in the bot lane. It doesn't even turn out that they need to look at the next Drake. They're going to look to push down the mid lane Espada, the only one left alive. Some of these kill cooldowns are, respawn timers are a bit low. Prim is back up in 5 seconds, but that is all they will have to stop the oncoming onslaught from To The Moon.
The wave is a bit thin.
Might just have enough to not lose here just yet.
I think To The Moon realizing how thin that wave is, the Jinx spawning in 5 seconds, the Zinzao also respawning just about now, it's a little bit too far. They respect it, they don't go for it. Instead, they're going to take their 8k gold lead and they will happily run away with that back towards this Drake. If Syndicate want to try and fight, they're welcome to try. I feel like it might be approaching the point where it's like the only hope to somehow get this soul, but they're not going to be allowed in.
Fate Sealed finds its way onto 2, which is enough to ensure that there is no chance that the Mountain Soul
Yangu,
goes any other way. Yangu continues forward despite the Drake already going. And so, another few kills given over to the side of TTM. Though admittedly, at this point, it's far from the worst outcome.
I mean, yeah, but you have to die still.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's not the worst outcome. But there are better ones.
The Drake did already go, but I mean, yeah. I mean, it's suboptimal.
So it feels like it's like the theme of this game though for Syndicate, right? It's making the good play when it happens is like they were able to do that, but it's making the bad plays not worse. Because it feels like every time Syndicate have had a play that hasn't gone perfectly, they've managed to make it go worse than what it could have been before. We saw down in bot earlier on, it was bad that the Jinx got caught out when they had no flash, but then they send the Xin Zhao in to die, and then they send the LeBlanc in to die, all one by one, all with no hope of actually getting kills in return. It's a constant factor here. It feels like they can't just have a play that goes poorly. It feels like it has to go very badly or it went well. And sometimes you need to be able to mitigate the bad things instead of just exacerbating them.
Speaking of bad things for SYN VOD review, Panay going to very easily pick up a kill onto a spot in the top lane, but now they look to find a numbers advantage fight in the mid lane. Shutdown goes
dash.
the way of Evil Mouse. Stixie Party does get the kill onto Prim though. Yangu now going to be completely isolated from this team. Wild Growth will keep him alive a little bit longer, but the collapse onto Evil Mouse Stixie will force a flash and the barrier out of Jinx from downtown. Evil Mouse Stixie drops Super Mega Death Rod to be able to trade a kill back to make it a 3v2 that they will have to use to defend their base a little bit longer. So instead, TTM move on to the bot lane tower, look to open up the base of SYN just that much more.
Yeah, and they had a couple of flashes to threaten there as well, so they will be able to get that inhib. With Evil using the flash previously to escape, it just means that he can't match, and as such, when Chaotic and Pinay are both threatening, if you get inside of my flash range, you're also going to die and the game will end. It just means he has to give up that bot inhib, but good play overall from the Jinx to be able to neutralize what was going on there. The dash over the wall from the Yanara while transcending herself was interesting. Ends up giving a little bit of hope to Syndicate, but it's hope that is still at its minimum. It's not a great position still. 40 seconds before this Baron spawns, another 2 minutes or so before their soul is back up once more, but it feels like it's not really their soul at this point. It's just a question of are TTM going to finish the game before they get their soul in 7?
Spada now in this top lane, caught out once again, will have flash this time to escape. But definitely feels like it might just be more of a delaying of the inevitable. All 5 members of TTM in this top lane will claim the tier 2, pushing a little bit more. Hook from Sparty Party, not quite going to land onto Prim, so they won't quite be able to collapse there, but still TTM just getting what they can. They know they have Baron spawning up now. They'll look to turn onto it. And any hope that SYN have at a steal, it's very minimal, but if it comes, it will have to be now.
If they're even allowed in, this is a big mistake.
Party, the target. Baron's already gone down. The turn is going to come through. Yanara going to get the kill on Tiangu very quickly. Evil Mouse Stixie will be hit with the Wild Growth, but is immediately deleted by the Yanara over the wall, and so goes the rest of SYN. At least there's a little bit of deception from Prim at the very end to try to save themselves. That's all that they will get on the side of the VOD review, in which they will definitely want to have a few of after this game one, because to the moon, Umbriel, as soon as they took over, they did not look back.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to have a VOD review after a game like this. They might need to, but it's not going to be a happy one. I don't feel. This is the type of game where you look back afterwards and you say, okay, we need to change quite a lot headed into the final week of the regular season, but definitely not enough time between games to work out what was done and what can be changed for what is a very, very impactful game. This could potentially be SYN VOD review falling out of playoff contention already at this point in the season. This is now, we were talking about before, it's not technically losing you out, but for all intents and purposes, it kind of is. Right, I think maybe it actually is, because Akuma and TTM are playing next week. I don't know how that.
And TTM are playing next week. So assuming that I'd have to actually work out the individual results. There are like specific things depending on if this is like a 2-1 or if the next week is a 1-2 result. I think like mathematically, if SYN VOD review does end up losing, they could still technically make it, and so it's definitely not over for them just yet, and certainly the series is not over. We still have a whole entire second game and potentially 3 to go through too, but we'll probably work that out during this break, try to discuss that a little bit more as that second game draft starts up after this short break. So we'll see you on the other side of that. Don't go anywhere. All right, we are back, and well, a little bit late. The teams had already got in without alerting us, so we're good to go. Rumble was banned away last time, Rue, and this time it's getting B1 by TTM.
Yeah, it was a second rotation, so
Yeah.
pinch of salt on that, but taking a B1, a vast departure from what we saw in game one. I was asking for it, to be fair, and they gave it just a game later, but there is still plenty of mitigation. Even with the Scion and the Ornn being taken away, you can just take the Galio, which is completely fine. You can nullify. It's never going to be the most fun time for a Sparta, but you're up against Rebel. There's no such thing as a fun time. The only potential fun time you can have is if you go something like an Ambessa, but that requires a lot of confidence with that specific matchup. And we are racing through the rest of this draft. Remember, Volibear was the ban in game one by SYN Review. They only had the one ban. They chose to ban Volibear. This time they get rid of the Oriana for the B1 of not Oriana, but they then take the Nocturne themselves. Volibear's still up. Umbriel happy to pick that up, which I'm assuming is going to go into the jungle to face off against the Nocturne. The Giga stat checker up against a pretty solid stat checker as we head on to 3.
Ooh, Lissandra getting locked relatively early from the side of To the Moon. Not exactly one that you see a ton of in Chaotix match history, but definitely somewhat fits the bill in terms of style of champion that they play.
Yeah, I mean, just yet another mage that is somewhat rising in popularity right now. It feels like I've seen quite a few Lissandras, but we hadn't seen many for a long time. Uh, I guess come fast come into it as well at some
Ooh.
point, as we are picking an order at this. I'm shocked. We're just everyone's just picking the champion they want to play and screw everyone else, whatever else is happening in draft. We're just yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, that makes. I mean, I guess this is actually done through draft tools, so in terms of like swapping champs,
Not the
that
point.
doesn't even happen anyway.
Not the point.
You know what? Yeah, it does
Don't do
actually
that.
help to not mess up in terms of swapping champions. That does leave the bot lanes as the only champs not yet picked on either of these two teams, so a lot of focus shown on the ADC pools of both these champions. I'm a bit surprised to not see the likes of the Kai'Sa and the Zeri taken out from the side of bot review, considering that is what TTM's ADC 3 plays quite a bit of. But instead of going focus on Ashe, Caitlyn, Kai'Sa, and Ezreal all going off board, Lucian, one of the ADCs left available, so that will be the choice for SYN VOD review.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed they don't leave the Caitlyn open there as Sinvol of View, because I feel like if you, I mean, you pick the Lux on 3, like we're talking about them picking an order, but like that very easily could have been a flex down to support if you just wanted to take a Caitlyn Lux lane and see how it went. Like if you just had like another mage that could go support, it would be very odd, but if you were to like flex around the Lux to bot lane, you could have had a very fun time. Instead, we're looking like we're just gonna have a bit of a Lucian Melio into a Xayah Rakan. But I feel like when you've already got the Lux, you don't need to ban the Caitlyn there. I feel like you can just take it and be very fine.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the premier bot lane combos that has been that way for, well, quite a while now. I mean, about as long as I
It's
can
not
remember.
the easiest, but it is very fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's you get
Well, not
a
to
lot
play
of.
against.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Caitlyn Lux locked in. You definitely on the enemy team, if you're in bot lane, you look at that and you just kind of think to yourself, do I dodge here? Every now and then. But said Lucian Melio, also a bot lane combo that is really, really strong. Getting that extra auto attack range on the Lucian helps him stay a little bit safe. And, well, I mean, the main weakness of the Lucian is that his short range makes him a little bit dangerous to play, but Emilio definitely helps cancel that one out.
Yeah, I mean, this bot lane's going to be very fun to watch. I feel like Zyrakan has fallen back a little bit in its own priority in recent times. Still very much so, there or thereabouts, when especially you feel like the enemy team is going to want to come flying at you. And, I mean, Nocturne is going to do precisely that. I feel like Galio also does precisely that. Like, flying at you is, like, it couldn't have been more accurate, actually, for what they're going to be doing. I feels like that's just the natural response when you see that. So you peel back and still have plenty of your own ability to go forward. I am a little bit worried for Umbriel about their front line this game, because I feel like it's going to be not really there. Into Illusion especially. when the culling hits and you don't have anyone to face tank it, it hits. Especially when that game's a little bit later in the game. Rumble's going to have a good chunk of health on him from building things like the Andries, the Bloodletters, especially in this game, with how many other AP champs there are. But there's no real resists unless until the volley bear goes something like a Dead Man's Plate. But that's not going to be one of the earliest things. Lissandra's probably going to get Zhonya's for some armor, but there's nothing to really stand at the front and start the fights. It feels like Umbriel are just going to be constantly peeling back, playing the range about where they feel safe, and then looking for the snap turn either on the quickness or on the volley wedge, going screw this, I'm going to flash W on their face and see what happens. And SYN View, they've got to find their own way to kind of mitigate that as best they can. They are going to have the group-wide cleanse from the Breath of Life. Beyond that, not the most peel.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the light binding as well technically can be used as a tool for said peel.
Good luck.
I mean, Volibear runs in a straight line, so I mean, if he's close enough, that's pretty cool. Volibear's so fast. and then he just presses R anyway, and then becomes unstoppable, and so then it just doesn't matter. But it's there. It is a shield too on Lux. Like,
yeah.
No,
I mean, both of these teams are very vulnerable to the snap engage, but it feels like TTM especially have a lot more abilities to make that snap happen. Either Lissandra finds a lovely little flank angle, getting wherever she wants to. That AoE route could be absolutely perfect. If that's what forces out the melee roll, then suddenly the quickness has so much more value. Xayah can get some feathers laid down. Suddenly everyone's rooted once more. It feels like Equalizer is then hard to miss than it is to hit. And Vodavie could be in a real rough place. But if it goes the other way and the Nocturne gets in, the Galio causes confusion, gets some good team-wide knockups, even if it's just the space created, that could be enough for SYN Vodavie to start off their own fights. I'm a little bit scared for both sides to engage in this one, but the lack of front lines is going to make this a very interesting team fight, even if it might last about 3 seconds.
Yeah, lots of damage available, so we'll see how that's utilized, see how these team fights get layered over each other. SYN Vodavie need this one to send it to Game 3 because I wasn't quite able to get to that when I was looking over the break. If TTM Umbriel do 2-0 here, SYN Vodavie is out of playoffs mathematically. They will not have a chance. So it is absolutely dire for Vodavie to be able to step up here in Game 2. Take this one to Game 3 at the very least to keep their playoff hopes alive. Can they do it? We'll find out on the other side of the spectator delay. We will see you on the Rift in a few moments.
Hearing voices from afar. Join the madness when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul array of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the last light. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants?
And we are ready to go for game 2 between TTM Umbriel and SYN VOD Review. And hopefully, for their sake, the VOD Review are also ready to go. They absolutely need to win here in game 2 to have any sort of chance at qualifying for the Blue Water Diamond League playoffs. If they lose here, Rue, they are mathematically eliminated as SYN VOD Review do play Akuma KTX next week. And on that front, even if SYN VOD Review loses 0-2 not VOD Review, if Umbriel loses 0-2 against Akuma KTX, that would give the points advantage to Akuma by singular one. How things go if Akuma KTX wins that one, or if TTM Umbriel wins it, they would win on head-to-head.
I'm glad that you've done the calculations because it's been
we'll
much
get
me.
to
I
that
don't think Prim's
chaotic.
done calculations.
Fine, Prim. No, they have not. First blood with the last few auto attacks dropping down onto the mid laner of SYN VOD Review. That is the last thing they needed, considering what was just been laid out.
Yeah, and this is also not good bot.
Yeah, Brecky Hill taken down to half HP. Sparty Party continuing forward. Cozy Campfire will heal them back up at least a little bit. Being said, in the process, Sparty Party and Xayah did use both their heal and their barriers, so not the worst thing ever. That being
True,
said,
but
this might be Panay will find the stun. Grand entrance comes through. Brecky Hill follows in short order. It's very quickly 2-0 to TTM Umbriel.
And he used Flash as well. That makes it even worse. Brecky could have been out safely. He could have just accepted death, rather. There was no such thing as being out safely there. But ends up using the Flash as well. Panay, amazing gank found there. Just 3 camping off of Raptors, and then I believe Blue and Gromp. To enemy Blue, enemy Gromp, by the way, to get that 3 camp, level 3, murder the enemy support. Very nice aggressive play found there, especially alongside a lane that isn't necessarily known for its early lane aggression. The Xayah Rakan, much better, when the game gets later, especially from the Xayah's POV. Rakan, pretty fine, kinda whenever, but this is now just difficult to play out for Syndicate because, amongst other things, obviously the solo kill in mid doesn't feel great. The death in bot isn't amazing. But your Nocturne also is missing half their camps now, effectively, right? They only got 4 of their own camps. They are going to get double scuttle, so it could be worse. But that's like 6 out of the first 14 that they're going to be getting. 8 out of the first 14 going the way of the Volibear, unless Yengu can maybe get these Raptors that are respawning. But Pinay is going to read that and get across so fast that Yengu's not even going to bother. Still level 3.
Yeah, and it is important for that level 6 of the Nocturne. Getting access to the Paranoia helps out a ton. It's always the thing that gets mentioned when this champion is locked in. Is -1 is the first Paranoia use and how effective it is. Evil Mouse Dixie again, a little bit dangerous there with the Xayah. Could have been snared up. Spelled
very dangerously.
Disaster potentially, yeah. I mean, it has garnered him a 10 CS lead, but of course, as I say that, getting very close once again. Not quite snared up, but down low in terms of health. Does have access to the barrier, though.
Look at the Volibear. Look where he is. Okay, spotted an ward.
This is ward, so they're all right.
They just put that ward down there. They literally just put that ward in there. They read that one very well. Interesting to point out, Sparty hasn't used a single ward so far this game as a support. I don't know what's going on down there. 4.5 minutes in.
Running over as fast as possible. Sacrificing his own Raptors in the process. Wolves as well. He's...
Effects cancelled. This is just great posturing. When you already have a lane that's doing so well, giving it the opportunity to flourish is exactly what's required. And TTM done a very good job of that throughout these first couple of games. They find the lane that's doing well, and they keep on going back to the well as that. It's not a good ward. I mean, not going to get cleared out, but I don't think that's in the bush.
I don't think it's in the bush either, yeah.
Just late.
Oh, yeah. It's always funny, though, when you see the damage come through before the recall fully completes and then the recall goes through anyway. Hold on, yeah, the Chaotic will go in onto Prim.
Not again.
Glacial Tomb going to do quite a bit of damage. Prim going to flash
Oh, no,
away. Follow
no.
from Chaotic will find the kill with the
Level
Q.
4.
Can he escape? Did find the snare onto Yengu. Panay also waiting in the wings if there was any follow-up from Yengu. So Chaotic finds yet another solo kill in the mid lane on the E sub of SYN in such a vital time is suboptimal, to say the least.
Yeah, we can go with that being the wording. If you want to use suboptimal, I feel like many other words can also fill that kind of a void, as there is a massive void being left in mid as a result of all of this. The Lux is just not a champion that plays well from behind. I don't personally like Lux in mid much to begin with. I feel like having a mage that is so immobile, focused all on that burst of damage, but only has 2 damaging abilities, is kind of mixing messages a little bit. When it's played in support, it can provide setup for other things very effectively. Caitlyn Lux is very well known for that precise reason. But Lucian Emilio trying to make something
that. Evil Mouse Dixie heads forward onto the Xayah, but Panay's waiting in the wings, does have access to the Stormbringer, so the turret doesn't even matter. Panay secures the kill onto Evil Mouse Dixie. 4-0, it's a TTM Umbriel, and 2k gold up.
Yeah, and with where this Volibear's been this whole game, you have to have vision before you step up as Evil in that situation. Walking forwards is just a death sentence if you don't know where this Volibear is. You have to either see him on vision elsewhere on the map, or have a ward telling you guys that he is not in the bush that he's in. Unfortunately, he's in the bush that he's in, and that is a massive, massive overstay. It also costs yourself a blue buff as well. Yengu still waiting for level 6 at minute 8 now. We're into minute number 8 of the game. Still not there. Should get it off these walls, but it's coming so late that the first ultimate's going to have a much mitigated impact, because just the more items are going to be there on the rest. We're going to go Motional too once we fight through
the mid lane, but the hero's entrance from a spotter will dissuade any sort of press further. Final spark going to hit the mark. Paranoia dropped.
He's in the bush.
But Yengu not quite going to get vision just yet. Finally, they find Sparty Party, so Yengu gets a kill on his first use of Paranoia.
It was very awkward for a second, but it was just about evaded. That was very close to being one of the saddest knockdown ults, but not quite timing the hop over the wall there. A grand entrance, I think, probably would have been spotted, so I think he was dead basically no matter what. As soon as he used the flash, he is just gone. I do wonder if he had the battle dance to get over to the Lissandra, something different could have happened, but if that's on cooldown, then it's just the way of it is. Winter, I didn't see that. It's fine. Just you keep doing you, buddy, on top side. This game is not decided through top. But I think both top laners realize that already. With 5 kills being on the map after 8 minutes, top lane not being involved in any of them, apart from technically, I guess, that assist for Espada, for his jungler. Like, this game is not decided by what happens in top lane unless someone decides to hand over 3 kills. In which case, maybe the Rumble does something.
Yengu be spotted out by the Xayah. Is definitely looking on for potentially another gank into the bot lane, but how long that Paranoia cooldown is early on, still only halfway to its recovery, not having access to the ultimate on Nocturne. Not really something they could find an angle on there in the bot lane.
Interesting to point out that Winter has decided to go with an Ignite for this lane. I feel like into the neutralizing lanes, Ignite doesn't feel great, right? You pick up Ignite when you're into something that you can kill and that could also kill you. Galio is neither of those things, especially unless you're going to find it very early.
Going to find the knock up onto Brecky. Hill pops the swiftness afterward just for good measure, but the damage had already been done. 5-1 to TTM Umbriel.
Yeah, just way too far forward. As the Emilio technically had flash, but it didn't really matter in the end as Winter overheats really awkwardly, but still very safe. Exactly what we talk about. There is no kill threat either direction in this lane. Taking Ignite here is just kind of crazy because it means that you don't have that upgraded TP later on in the game. You don't have TP to mitigate exchanges like this where you could just take the base TP back. Now you're forced to stick under the tower, and Yengu is wanting to make something happen. Unfortunately, Panay's also holding on to the hope that the gank comes through.
And Indeed, it does. Tries to find the way onto Winter, which they do find the kill, but the Storm will be called to trade it 1-for-1. The burn from the ult does
Flash.
give the kill over to Winter. As mentioned, Espada does have flash. Probably won't even need to use it anyway. No flash for Panay. He's already close enough to the tower.
Yeah, it's just even more of you don't want to chase this type of thing for a Panay there, because you walk into the turret range against a Galio, suddenly you've been knocked out 3 times, you've taken 5 turret shots, and you're dead. Not worth it. Just gonna disengage that. I like the idea on the counting out there from Panay. Read it very well, just didn't quite get that timing right. It was a tad late, even though he was waiting on that play. I feel like as soon as the knockdown out is pulped, you have to assume that he's going on your rumble, because you're already up there. You've committed to it. You don't have to ult in, but you have to be starting to walk up. He waited for confirmation from his end that it was the knockdown out onto his top laner, and that was the small little timer that allowed the play to still work somewhat for SYN, even though it ended up being a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and working out for SYN and this top lane a little bit longer. Hallowed Radiance completed by Espada to further negate this top lane even more and make it basically a non-entity without the junglers arriving. Before we get to that, Spartan Fire will pop. The Swiftness does find the charm onto Evil Mouse Sticks. A Breath of Life is immediately popped by Brecci Hill, but that means no ult for the Emilio as the dive comes through. Grand Entrance not going to hit Evil Mouse Sticks. He dashes away. Panay finds first kill onto Brecci Hill, and so Evil Mouse Sticks say not long for this world. Zaya takes a tower shot, will get out of the aggro range before the second one comes through to be able to trade it back. So 2 kills under the bot lane tower go the way of TTM unanswered.
And this is just a difference in terms of counter jungling now. Yangu's done a great job of finding the ganks when they're there for him, but he's not been able to read where Panay is going to, and it's difficult when you're playing something that's looking to farm a lot more, and the enemy jungler does not care, he's just keeping it going. Crim
will pop the E, but Sparty Party goes forward to dodge out the damage, and so Prim looks aggressively to try to find something, but is unable in the process. Meanwhile, Yangu trying to find the counter jungle.
They're already desperate.
Spotted out by the rest of TTM. Winter and Chaotic will get the snare onto Yangu. The taunt finds its way onto 2. Chaotic gets the first kill, though. Does have the damage. Espada on his own doesn't have too much. Winter just staying at range, same as Chaotic. There's not much this Galio can do to close down onto that low health bar of the Rumble. And so, yet another trade up for the side of TTM Umbriel.
This is so desperate. They're just like, they're keeping on just walking forward into their own demise. If Sparty, I mean, Sparty's probably got a kill anyway.
Will cancel out the tower with, actually won't quite cancel that out with the Stormbringer, just slightly short. Will split the sky. Zaya gets kill anyway. Tower shot, barrier keeps him alive and forces the flash out of Brecci Hill.
Yeah, and just able to dodge away from the Ultra Mega Fire King as well.
Either.
Yeah, just able to walk away from this. Rakan's there just in case. Everything not quite working out for SYN right now, and the plays that they are the ones leading, where they're the aggressor, are looking desperate. The retaliation plays are looking sad, they're looking depressing, but it's the ones where they're the ones trying to make something happen that in some regards are actually looking worse, because they're doomed before they even were going to start. The best they've had is a 1-for-1, not including the time where Yengu found Sparty with literally 10 HP.
And speaking of Sparty, pops the quickest immediately. Grand Entrance
just can't
leaves
be there.
Prim with no escape. Chaotic picks up his
He
4th
walked
kill
over
in
your
the
ward
game.
to do that. He literally started clearing the ward in the bot side brush, and you're walking up in the lane against a Rakan. Like, you're gonna die if you use the flash and he uses flash to retaliate. You're not allowed to be there as an immobile mage. This is things that you should know. ESUB or not, this is just normal solo queue mechanics. You see the enemy support in the brush that you've already warded. You have to be aware of that, and it's shocking right now that Syndicate are just unaware of where TTM are on the map at all. Like, the early game's been dominated by this volley bear, perma-ganking bot, and they've not put down any bot side vision in their jungle. Right now they have a banana brush ward, and that is it to protect their Lucian, who has already taken 3 deaths. The Emilio also on 3. The Nocturne has not been able to farm at their bot camps at all, and they've been trying to save their bot side instead of being able to counter jungle. neither of them are great options for reference.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's just a complete outplay on the map right now by TTM. They have a clear focus on what they want to do this game. Their clear focus is we want to kill this bot lane, we want to get our bot lane ahead, and we are going to do that repeatedly until the enemy team show us that it can't be done. If they find a way to mitigate our play, then okay, but the champions just don't allow it, right? There is no way that the Lux can match a mid roam from Lissandra when the Lux is late to push out the wave. Like, it feels like you need to final spark the wave and run, but that isn't even enough for Prim. You could move first as this Lux and still get there later than the Lissandra, and it still doesn't matter because the bot play's probably already happened. The Volibear is destroying what's happening down there, and Lucian Melia just cannot keep up with what's going on.
Especially not now with 4 kills into the inventory of Xayah. Already has the Essence Reaver available halfway to their second item as well. Meanwhile, Evil Mal Stixe, once the Essence Reaver done, but only on the 3 components, and it's definitely not ideal. As you mentioned, the way that Panay has absolutely ran the jungle here in Game 1 has kept Yangu basically completely out of it. I mean, obviously, a few of the paranoias they were fruitful and found 2 kills when they were both used, but it really is just too little, too late. As we have an update in the bottom left corner there. Apparently, it turns out Evil Mal Stixe and looks like it's having quite a bit of lag. So I do believe we're waiting on that. There's no word on how long it'll take to be fixed. Doesn't look like Evil Mal Stixe has tried resetting their router, at least just yet either, because we would have gotten the alert. I do believe that does show up when like a disconnect happens in the pause, right? Or
it does, but if it happened like right at the start, we wouldn't have seen it.
That's true. That's true.
Because there's that little like in between part of how far we are behind the actual pause. So we'll just have to wait this one out for the time being, though. If we get word that it's gonna be too long, I'm sure we'll be able to send it somewhere. But for now, I mean, it's a good time to have a look at this game state as a whole. Which, how do you want to phrase it? How do you want to phrase this?
I've already used suboptimal. Not ideal.
Can we just go with bad?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Do you want to go like with a worse word than bad, or is bad a good enough bad word?
I feel like you could probably choose any whatever the inverse of superlative is for the map state for SYN VOD review, and it would probably work. Other than maybe unwinnable.
It's not quite there yet, but it is close. How do you win this game, though?
Just this past weekend in Blue Water Premier, we definitely experienced
that game. I didn't say was unwinnable, by the way. I said it was close to being. I didn't say it was.
It's just it's one that would potentially would have maybe been fair to use the term unwinnable, and
that was an 11k gold lead at 21 minutes. So
So it's not quite that dire. For
I mean, in terms of gold, no. But in terms of team comp, I mean, like, I don't see the easy way back.
Yeah.
Like, how does SYN actually come back into this game? Because Lucian Melia from behind is not fun. The Lux, 4 deaths, can't be feeling great about the game state. Your Nocturne is down like 9 camps already. He's still there or thereabouts in terms of items because jungle. But it's not really there, and your top lane is the only thing that's going somewhat well right now. But even there's a random kill that's gone Winter's way from a failed play that he shouldn't have, and you're in a neutralizing matchup. You don't have anything you can possibly say is a worthwhile thing to be ahead, and anything that could potentially be ahead is having trades like that happen. I mean, like that's your win con when you enter this game. Is somehow Lux is either Giga fed, or your Lucian is able to carry you through the kind of mid to late game. Something brings him there, maybe even himself. When that isn't a possibility, like you end up looking like this and thinking, okay, well, it says it's only 6,000 up there, but it feels like it could be 20.
Yeah, especially with, I mean, on top of that, the stacking going the way of TTM. Every single neutral objective so far has gone their way. Yengu
That's
just
not
might
your
be
grab.
found out here. Not going to drop the spell shield in time either. Will cancel the stun, but yeah, it's just not nearly going to be enough. Pinay does way too much damage. 10
Did you see that level
stacks on the
difference?
dark steel. Yeah, it was. I think it was 2, 3, or was it? What?
3.
Yengu was
Level
was
8 versus
3.
level 11.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
how
knew
do
it
you
was
play
8
that?
or 9, but it's you
You don't. Like, you don't.
see what you do is
What you do is you realize that it's ticked up to 15 minutes, and in solo queue, you're already out of this game. That's what happens. This is such a difficult game for Syndicate to play. They have to carry on going. They have to keep on trooping, because this is quite literally win or go home situations. As a Sparta, I've seen that. I wasn't going to mention the first one, but twice in a row, I have to point out, you got to get your cannons. If you're in this type of game state, you got to get your cannons, please.
hey, the light binding into the
Let's walk up on mid.
bear. Hey, yeah. I mean, flash away from Prim won't quite matter. The storm will be called in straight into the bot lane. Shutdown goes away of Evil Mouse Dixie. Gets the kill onto the Zaya. Coling drops down. Gets Party to half HP. So it is something for SYN VOD review. Getting a shutdown onto Evil Mouse Dixie will definitely help him out a little bit. Will it be enough is a very sizable question that, at least at the very moment right now, does not feel like it.
Yeah, well, the pinch of salt to take after that play is that you realize that the Zaya base and has a full item in said base that they were just standing on the rift with, right? Okay, well, they had the Zeal, but they just based and bought boots plus the rest of the Navori Flicker Blade. So that's kind of what TTM are doing right now. That they are trying to greed as much as possible to get as big of an advantage as they possibly can as fast as they can. Ends up going a little bit too far in the bot side there, but in mid, it works yet again because Prim is just not allowed to walk up on mid. If the volley bear even has a sniff that the Lux is slightly out of position, that is now completely exacerbated as well by the fact that she has no flash. Prim is very, very dangerous wherever they stand. It is just danger permanently. You have to be so careful. Even though your turret probably isn't safe because he can turn him off, right? As soon as Pinay decides to turn to the lane where the Lux is, I don't know how you live. And that's another issue I think I have with this pick in general, right? When you don't flex at support, when you ban the Caitlyn,
Mid lane, the dive up top will come through. Fear finds its mark. Yengu gets the kill onto Winter. So yet another good paranoia at the very least coming from SYN, but straight over to the mid lane. Evil Mouse Dixie will be peeled the best they possibly
Zaya
can.
doesn't do damage.
Grand entrance from 5 inches out from Espada will do the best to try to delay the advance from TTM, and actually Heroes Justice Punch goes forward, tries to find the Zaya, but Pinay, as you mentioned, has arrived. Double kill goes their way. Skyspear drops down. Justice Punch will be canceled out. And so any hopes of an escape from Espada are long and now gone, as it's a triple kill for Pinay. 8-0-4 on the Volibear. It's do we want to use the term unwinnable at this point? Because it's very difficult for SYN. It will take a monumental comeback for them to do anything in this one.
I mean, TTM are giving a couple of angles that probably didn't need to be given. Objective bounty claimed on bot as well actually makes the gold lead not as bad for now. It's still bad. I just feel like Syndicate could have done so many things to mitigate how this game got here. You look at this team comp from TTN, and you see Rumble, Volibear, Lissandra. All three of those champions are building AP at the start of the game. Right, we have Leandries plus Dusk and Dawn plus Malignants. Where are the Merc Treads?
They are.
Why are they still in the Shopkeeper? Like, how are we going to 2 items for getting our upgraded boots here as top jungle? And like, why is the squishiest mid laner in the game going even squishier instead of trying to have some form of survivability? I feel like early Merc Treads here has so much value. into the top side of TTM, because you also then get to mitigate what the Rakan does. It's not quite merch rate into Leona, but it's not bad having CT mitigation into a Rakan, who has a couple of different forms of it. I feel like this is just another trick that's been missed by Syndicate, and this is something they should just know, and they're not applying their knowledge. I don't know. It's one of the more minimal things, what boots you pick, but it can have such an impact when you end up in a situation like this and you're looking at your team comp thinking, where is this gone? We drafted this and we were happy with our draft, and then now the game's 20 minutes in and we feel like we don't have any plays.
Coming through from Prim to try to
where is the play here?
Down this not quite tower dive, as it was not long for the world. All 5 members of TTM show up in the bot lane to pick up 2 kills and turn straight over to Baron.
Like, it's these things as well. Like, that's a mitigation play. We talked about this in game 1. If the Galio is dead under his turret because the turret dies and he's still there, it's a bad play, but that's okay. TPing in and making the bad play worse is something the Syndicate have got to find a way of stopping, because it keeps on happening, and while it keeps on happening, they're not going to be able to do anything as a team. These types of things are going to get rooted out, and if you keep on making these plays, you're not allowed to get into playoffs. And right now, I mean, you're down 10k in elimination game, so I feel like you're not allowed to get into playoffs.
And Paranoia comes through from Yangu to try to find its way onto the Xayah. Does find the kill with it. And maybe not. Maybe that was the impetus to go in there. Hero's Engines will drop down. Charm finds its way onto Yangu with a flash away on. I mean, Chaotic's over the wall anyway. The collapse is too much for a side of SYN VOD Review to handle. They get the kill onto Xayah with Yangu, but the rest of TTM was around, and with how far ahead they are, it's just too much to handle for the VOD Review. And so Prim, the only one left alive, but 0-6-1 on this Lux. I mean, they'll do the best to stop the push from the side of TTM, and they might not even necessarily try to end here with Mouse, Dixie, and Yangu responding in 6 seconds, but just yet another step closer as it doesn't even cancel the recall as the final spark. I mean, it clears the wave out.
It did split the goalposts. I will say this is a somewhat early inhib to take. So you're absorbing like a little bit of risk here if you are to the moon. But I think that's risk that you can take, right? The first wave of super minions is going to be meeting the enemy wave as the soul spawns. At that point, is it even too early? It's early, but I don't think it quite rises to being too early, as I mean, we can see how confident to the moon are. They're leaving their Xayah alone on that mid wave to clear out what was like quite a large wave. That was like a wave and a half from Syndicate, and it completely isolated, just stand there. And now Brekkie Hill is very dead. Yangu,
Brekkie Hill, I didn't see him there. What are you talking about? Yangu, yeah, also doing the best to try to find a way into the Dragon Pit. Just fair. Mountain Soul to the side of TTM. Umbriel is now confirmed. Evil Mouse 6 is going to drop the culling. It'll do something to Panay. All the while, the Equalize drops, and the burn alone gets Evil Mouse 6 a very low. Barely tagged him, but still chunks him out nearly completely. Recall finally comes through from Prin 3v5 to try to delay things out a little bit longer, but it won't nearly be enough. Prim's removed from the map instantly. Espada not long to follow, and their Nexus also taken down in short order. 2-0 to the side of TTM Umbriel, and as a result, it's unfortunate, but SYN VOD Review are eliminated from playoffs.
And there's eliminations, and then there are like eliminations like that where it feels like they didn't even have a fight to put up. I don't even think that rises to the rank of going out with a whimper. What's below that? Do we have a level of below whimper?
I'm not quite sure, but it was Definitely not. I mean, I guess that would be one way to put it. Especially, I mean, having to have a substitute jungle in, having an E sub in the mid lane who, so far this season at the very least hasn't played much mid lane in solo queue, and it was not ideal for SYN VOD review to be coming into this one, and it really showed. Unfortunately for them and their season, it kind of speaks for it. The victory screen kind of just speaks for itself, and so I think with that, congratulations to TTM Umbriel. Their playoff dreams are still alive too. Owing does put them in a really good spot to be able to potentially qualify into that last spot out of the Demacia group in fourth. Obviously, it will rely on results from elsewhere, and with Akuma KTX, who are currently playing Conduit Super Idols.
There's no result on that one either yet. I did have a check.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Still
this
waiting.
one went really quickly, so obviously we'll have to wait and see on that front. But they also are playing Akuma KTX next week, which will be an absolutely huge matchup for them, I do believe, regardless of how this one goes, because of head-to-head results. Whoever wins that one should get the final playoff spot out of the Demacia group. So good luck to them next week in their matchup against Akuma KTX, and add their attempts of making that final playoff spot here in the Blue Otter Diamond League. But that will be it from us tonight. I've been Isaac. Alongside me has been Rue. Loki's been running things behind the scene, and we will wish you a pleasant adieu.